So, in continuation, next we have the 5 shifts in Quaker peace testimony. And there are complex testimonies against war and for peace that are identified into the 5 shifts. So, the first one is from testimony against war to Quaker peace testimony. This shift initially appears as a change of the name and then expands to a change in content. And the second one is from a Christian-based testimony against war to Christian, Universalist, and non-religious-based Quaker peace testimony, which was TAW, T-A-W, and that was based on an interpretation of scriptural Christian faith that Quakers opposed war and carried out peacemaking through a moral of other religious inspiration. The third one is from a from a prescriptive to a permissive individual option, and this shift increased tolerance towards different individual interpretations of Quaker peace testimony. The fourth shift was from a focus on internal individual behavior to external focus on the world, and in this shift, members were expected to moderate their behavior in line with the corporate testimony. And last but not least was the shift from a narrow to a broad perspective of peace. And prior to the 20th century, the focus on the testimony was opposition to war. The 20th century Quaker peace testimony incorporated a broadened concept of peace. Next, we have the history of peace testimony, which was the 20th century. In this time period, there were significant changes to Quakers worldwide. During World War I, British Friends strongly opposed the use of force as a solution to the conflict. They also held that it was right for Friends to devotedly serve their nation and advocate a firm adherence to pacifism. Some monthly meetings disciplined and disowned members who supported the war. The Militia Act allowed members of any recognized religion opposed to all war to be known as a conscious objection. And the Quakers opposed the Vietnam War and came up with an anti-draft campaign. The United States AFCS started an anti-draft campaign to put an end to the draft. And throughout the 20th century, Quakers' early witness to refusing to pay for war transformed into movements of war tax resistance in various countries. Next is the shift from testimony against war to a 2-component Quaker peace testimony. The 5 shifts combined with knowledge of current Quakers' activities implementing the testimony suggests that this is presently called the Quaker peace testimony may be understood as an umbrella testimony with 2 components: war abolishing Quaker peace testimony and conflict transforming Quaker peace testimony. War abolishing Quaker peace testimony is a modern expression of TAW and focuses on the components of war and war is recognized as a necessary means. It aimed at denying governments or others attempting to wage war. The legitimacy to do so included conscious objection to military service or taxation for military purposes, opposition to the arms industry, including specific weapon systems, and responses to specific threats and executions of war. The war-abolishing Quaker peace testimony includes responding to the immediate effects of war, which would be the needs of refugees, internally displaced persons, or the injured. And conflict transforming Quaker peace testimony focuses on addressing causation and peace building. And last but not least, we have the All Friends Peace Conference, and Friends also is another word for Quakers. A large number of Quakers who served in the military during World War II disturbed Friends about the war. A conference of All Friends was held in London, England in 1920, and it was believed that Friends around the world needed an opportunity to explore the nature, basis, and application of Friends' historic TAW, and this was the first world gathering of Friends. Almost 1,000 participants attended, and the majority were British and American. Friends attended from Australia, Canada, China, Europe, India, Jamaica, Japan, New Zealand, South Africa, and Syria. 7 commissions in each of Britain and the United States prepared papers examining aspects of the Quaker peace testimony. The term Quaker Peace Testimony was used although much of the content of the papers reflected the Tao. And although the conference failed to bring world peace, it affirmed Quaker Peace Testimony as a fundamental Quaker Christian truth for society.